Hello everybody, my name's Spencer Smith. We're here at our family ranch, Springs Ranch in Fort Bidwell, California. And we are the Jefferson Center for Holistic Management, the Savory Hub offering training support to farmers and ranchers. We have been a Savory Hub since 2014, and over that time we've had the opportunity to really develop our grazing skills and our management skills here on this place, and then work internationally with producers in Africa and North and Central America. We have historically held a ranch field day every June. But of course this year things are a little bit different with the coronavirus. But we'd still like to share with you some of the things that we're learning and some of the things that we're doing. So we're going to try a virtual field day. And over the summer we're going to take little clips and videos like this and kind of discuss some research projects that we're doing here on our ranch in association with Point Blue Conservation and the California Department of Food and Agriculture's Healthy Soils Grant Program. If you're a producer out here in California, the California Department of Food and Agriculture is investing in these types of learning opportunities for producers to better understand how to build soil in their context and in their climate. The Healthy Soils grant that we received is both a demonstration grant and an incentive grant. If you're a part of the demonstration grant, you can get up to $250,000 to help do research projects that will discover how to improve soil health metrics in your landscape. The incentive grant is up to $70,000 to do the same thing, but there's less of a requirement for research. So for our side-by-side comparison research project, we're looking at how soil changes under planned grazing regimes, under all 4 of the different test sites. So our control is under planned grazing. And then we're also doing an interceding with a no-till drill, cool season forbs and grasses to better improve community dynamics and diversity of our pastures. Compost applications, an extremely heavy amount of compost on one of the plots, which is 12 ton of compost per acre, to see how that's going to impact forage production and soil health metrics. And then a plot that is composted at that rate and interseeded, and then, like I say, a control. That's replicated 3 times in improved dry land pasture situations. So what we really want to discover is, okay, what's the cost-benefit analysis on all of these different programs? Certainly we can improve soil health metrics by investing, $1,200 an acre onto this dryland pasture, but over the long haul, what are the economic realities associated with it? Will it improve forage production to the point that it will pay for that action and then bring back more profit at the end of it? What I'd like to better understand is how to maximize ecosystem function, soil health, and profitability always. And if we only focus on soil health or only focus on a few of the metrics and ignore the profitability, the benefits will be short-lived because it won't be sustainable actions for farmers and ranchers around the West. We're measuring soil health metrics, water infiltration, water holding capacity, mineralization in the soil profile, profitability of these different actions across the ranch. But then also we're doing a lot of biodiversity and community dynamics modeling and testing as well. So one of the keystone species here that we're really trying to capture and better understand is dung beetles. And so we will be doing dung beetle counts throughout the summer and seeing how that population changes over the life of this 3-year grant cycle. We'll be looking at forbs and the grasses and plants in the fields to see how that shifts as well. A little bit more about our place here in Fort Bidwell, California. Fort Bidwell is in the far western side of the Great Basin and in the northeastern corner of California. We've got a couple hundred acres of irrigated and sub-irrigated native and improved pastures, dryland improved pastures, dryland native pastures, sagebrush steppe rangeland, all the way up into the alpine mountains and meadow system. Of course, the management criteria up in the rangeland and the mountain property is quite a bit different than how we manage our meadows. Meadows we manage with higher stock density and faster moves in the springtime, and then as you know the grass regrowth slows down, so do our cattle moves, so that we make sure we don't get it out ahead of things and start overgrazing. This summer, another portion of the grant is going to be how interseeding warm season forbs, legumes, and grasses into these native meadows is going to kind of help us during that summertime slump. We get most of our moisture, like the vast majority of our moisture, in the form of snowfall, and then early spring rains. By the middle of May, we're pretty much out of rainfall for the year typically. Can get a thunderstorm here or there. And then we get super hot summers. So with that, our cool season grasses really slow down in that midsummer range. And if we can figure out how to, utilizing the no-till drill technology, and then create a lot of biomass for later summer and fall grazing. A lot of you may be interested why I'm bringing in quote unquote not native plants to interseed into these pastures. And that's really a context question, right? There's a lot of folks that are really excited about native grasses, and I am too. I love the native plants. If there are plants from other parts of the world that can fill that biological niche that will make my property more resilient, allow me to be more productive and more profitable, at the end of the day, I'm happy to explore all those things. I'm most interested in ecological function and filling those niches so that we can create the best and healthiest pastures that we can. So this time of year with fast growth, where we've got 42 days recovery time planned for each of these pastures. The next time I come through, as per our grazing plan and our action plan with utilizing the no-till drill, I'm going to come through and I'm going to graze those meadow fields considerably harder, a lot harder than I typically do, for two reasons. One, I want to intensify animal impact and that foot traffic on those meadows and try and break up that sod bound that we get in these sub-irrigated fields. But then I want to also hit those plants hard enough right before we get into that super hot season that they won't negatively impact the interseeding that we're going to do into them. So we're going to graze them hard enough to kind of stunt those cool season grasses, not this time, but the next time when we come through into June. After we interseed it, we've got about 60 days planned recovery built into it, so those interseeded pastures will be able to grow up. Then we'll be able to graze those throughout the fall and early winter as per our grazing plan. We also had an eroded stream bank. It was about 6 foot deep, the head cut. So another part of the Healthy Soils grant, they help fund stream restoration and riparian zone plantings. So I went out there with my backhoe and I put in some gabion and some check dams to catch that silt and sediment and kind of caved in those deep sides. And then we planted about 45 fruit and nut and shade trees. We're going to start putting up our deer fencing around there to maintain it. Very excited as this continues to heal up and grow. I'm going to put in more gabion dams to catch more sediment, and I'm going to try and raise the water level over the next year or two back to where it ought to be, and kind of really work on slowing down that erosion. This is the worst creek on the ranch as far as degraded, but I'd like to continue this along some other streams that I've got. So I like fruit and nuts and trees.
So this is our holistic context binder. It's illustrated by our daughter. And inside of it, we have all the different holistic contexts that we're part of for all the holes under management that we are part of. So every hole under management needs to have its own context. And I like to keep this binder on my desk, and I read my own context each morning to ground me and remind myself of what's most important, what is most energizing to me. And we have our daughters as well. She formed her own context this year. But I'd like to share with you the holistic context we have for Springs Ranch today. This was created by the decision makers of this ranch, which are my husband and I, and my mother and father-in-law, Steve and Patty Smith, who are the owners of the ranch. So there's a quality of life statement, of course, and and then the future resource base, which I feel is more appropriate to our conversation today. So the ranch will have abundant wildlife in the upland areas such as deer, elk, turkey, and quail. Biodiversity will increase across all areas of the ranch. People will be able to walk through our food forest and enjoy discovering and harvesting edibles. The soil life will improve so that we experience biodiversity at all ecosystem levels. All life will be supported by abundant water, again here, from the many natural springs on the ranch. The grasslands will be thick with new grasses coming on at all times during the growing season. The ranch will be able to support a healthy herd of cattle. Families live peacefully together and enjoy the natural wealth and diversity of the ranch. The ranch will feel wild and full of life. The water will be clean, clear, and safe to drink and play in. The air will be fresh so that the sunrise, sunset, and stars at night are unaltered by pollutants. It will be a place where children can believe in magic and fairies and endless possibilities. Thank you.